Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Pretty Pink Posh has a brand new release and it's all about Christmas. And I'm super excited to be guest designing again this month. So let me show you the items I received from the release. And if you are interested in any of the products, I do have links provided in the description box below. The first stamp set is called Winter Drinks and there are coordinating dies. This isn't necessarily a Christmas set because you could use this year-round. I love this sentiment, you warm my heart. The next stamp set is called Happy Santa and there are coordinating dies. There are 3 sentiments. We have Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, and also Ho Ho Ho. There are more stamp sets that are part of this release, but since I don't color images, I receive more of the dies and stencils. The first die set is called Winter Mug, and this is so much fun. We have the mug, a candy cane, a snowflake, holly, marshmallows, a little leaf, and even a cute little ghost. The next die set is called Pine Trees. There are 3 different sizes of trees, and it also has the separate piece for the trunk. This would be a fun set to create some Christmas trees, but you could also use this year-round. The next die set is called Mitten Shaker. So this is really fun. You can create a little shaker, and there's also a snowflake die, so you could add an embellishment on the mitten. The next die set is called Winter Foliage, and I love all the different images that are included on this set. We have the large flower, so you can create a poinsettia, several different leaves, we have some pine branches, berries, and even a pine cone. There are 2 new sentiment die sets. We have Winter Wishes script and also Christmas Greetings script. And I love the font that Pretty Pink Posh uses for their sentiments. Next up are 5 new stencil sets, and these are so much fun. The first one is called Layered Coffee Cups, and all 5 of the sets include 3 stencils for that fun layered look. And I'll open up the layered coffee cup set so you can see all the different stencils. If I can get them out of the package. This first layer, which is actually layer C, has the steam, some hearts, stars. The next layer has the drink area where you could have it tea or coffee. And the final layer is the main body of the cups. One of my favorite things about the layered stencil sets, you can create your own pattern paper since you can customize different colors. The next set is called Layer Snowflakes. Then we have Layered Mittens. I love the little snowflake on the mitten, matches the Mitten Shaker Die. Then we have the Christmas Lights. And the final set, which is my favorite, is the Layered Winter Foliage. And I'll open up this package so you can see all the fun layers that are included. So one of the stencils has the berries. The next stencil has the leaves and all the greenery. And the final stencil has the pine cones, branches, and the stem for the leaves. When you combine all 3 of the stencils together, the finished result is just beautiful. The final items I received are 3 new shaker mixes, and these are so fun and festive. The set on the right has a very traditional Christmas look with all the red and green. This is called Holiday Cheer Mix. The one in the center is more wintry looking, and it's called Winter Snowflakes Mix. And the fun set on the left is called Peppermints Mix. And there are several other products that I didn't receive. I will have a link for the entire release if you want to check it out. I do have a couple of cards to share with you today using some of the new items. The pattern paper I'm using for the first card is from Sunny Studio. This is their Holiday Cheer collection. I thought the pattern paper with all the cute little mugs was perfect to pair with the new Winter Mug die set. I cut out 3 strips using Pretty Pink Posh's strip stitch dies. I cut out 3 of the strips using 3 different sizes of the dies and some tone-on-tone polka dot pattern paper. I put some double-sided tape on the back and adhered all 3 of them at an angle on the card. And I'll just flip over that panel, use my scissors to trim off the extra. I'll layer this piece on some red cardstock and then again on some blue cardstock. I'll put some ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. Next, I'll add a stitch circle die cut, and I did use some white shimmer cardstock for that. I'll adhere that in place using some liquid adhesive. Now I'll start working on the image. I cut out the mug from the same blue cardstock I used for that background layer of the card, and I'm stamping a sentiment directly onto the mug. I'll be using "You Warm My Heart." And instead of stamping it straight across the mug, I'll curve it so it follows the same curves on the mug. I am using my mini MISTI to help get the placement of that sentiment correct. So I'm curving it up just a little, laying it back down on the mug, and then I'll readjust it until I'm happy with the curve of that sentiment. Once I lay down the cover of my MISTI, part of the sentiment moved, so I did need to fix that. Then I'll ink it up using Catherine Pooler's Icing on the Cake ink color. For the contents of the mug, this will be a cup of cocoa. So I'll adhere the brown cocoa piece to the top portion of the mug. And then I'll fill it up with several different marshmallows. And I cut these out from some white glitter cardstock. I love that that curve at the top of the mug is cut out, so you can easily tuck those items right into your mug. I will be popping this up using some thin foam dimension. Need to cut some tiny pieces for the handle of the mug. I'll just add several strips across the mug so there's good coverage. I'll remove the release paper and adhere the mug onto the center of that circle. The foam strips I'm using are super sticky, and one of the tiny pieces on the handle of the mug kept sticking to my finger. Next, I'll add a pink snowflake die cut. Thought the pink worked nicely with all the pink on the pattern paper. I'll use some liquid adhesive to adhere the snowflake to the center of the mug. And I am placing my acrylic block on top for some added weight while I let the glue adhere. Now I'll add a couple of banners in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm just cutting these out myself. The larger one's from red cardstock, and the smaller is from the same blue cardstock in the background. I'll adhere the red one down first using liquid adhesive. Then I'll put a small scrap piece of cardstock on the right side of the red banner before adhering the blue one on top, and that'll help it stay nice and level. Then for a final finishing touch, I'll add a couple of the white snowflakes from the Winter Snowflakes mix. I'll add 2 on the banners in the upper left-hand corner and 1 in the center of the pink snowflake. And I'll adhere those in place with a small drop of liquid adhesive. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I love the bright and cheerful colors, and the new winter mug set is so much fun. I love how you can customize it. I decided to have a cup of cocoa, but you could also do coffee or tea or any hot beverage. Now moving on to card design number 2. I'll be using the layered winter foliage stencil set. And instead of stenciling on plain solid cardstock, I thought it would be fun to use some pattern paper. This is from Sunny Studio. It's their subtle gray tones paper collection. I'll start by adding the berries. I'm using the Rocking Red ink color from Catherine Pooler. And now I'll do the greenery, and this is the Spruce color from Catherine Pooler. I am using a mini stencil mat to hold the paper and stencil in place. And I have sped up the stenciling portion of this video quite a bit. Now, even though I'm making an A2 size card, I decided to use the full 6x6 stencil. That way I can trim down the portion that I want. And the portion of the pattern paper that I don't use, I can trim a small strip of it and add it to the inside of the card for some extra detail. Now moving on to the final stencil layer, I'm using the Macchiato ink color from Catherine Pooler. It's a really pretty brown. This is the final layer of the stencil set where I'll get all the pine cones, the branches, and the stems of the leaves. So once I get all of those areas covered with ink, it's my favorite part, the reveal. So I'll just lift up that stencil and look at the beautiful background. I really like how it looks on the soft gray pattern paper. I trimmed down that panel, so now it's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and I will be layering it on some dark green cardstock. First, I'll add a strip of red cardstock on the left side, and I cut this out using the stitch strip dies from Pretty Pink Posh. I'll adhere that in place using some double-sided tape. I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. For this card, I'll be using the fun Winter Foliage die set. I cut out the 3 layers of the poinsettia from some red cardstock. I want to add just a little extra ink. I'm using the Peppermint scrub color from Catherine Pooler and adding it to the edge of all the petals. By the time I was finished with this card, I had lots of red ink on my fingers. Now I can start assembling the poinsettia. I'm using my fingers and curling up the edge of all of the petals. Then I'll put liquid adhesive on the back of the middle piece, assemble the largest and the middle piece together, then I'll add the very center. And here are the rest of the die cut pieces I'll be adding to the card. I have both sizes of the holly leaves and I used 2 shades of green cardstock. For the pine cone, I have a darker brown for the background piece and a slightly lighter brown cardstock for that top piece. I'll glue those 2 together and add just a little bit of ink to the very edge. And I use Catherine Pooler's Icing on the Cake ink color. For the pine branches and also the very center of the poinsettia, I cut these out from some gold satin mirror cardstock. Now since the background of my card is fairly busy, I'll add a piece of vellum to sort of break up that busy pattern before adding my floral arrangement in the lower right hand corner. And the die I used to cut out that piece is from Pretty Pink Posh's Fall Circles Coordinating Die Set. I held it up to my card and had part of it hanging off the edge, flipped over my card and trimmed off the extra, so when I do adhere it to the card, it'll be flush all the way on the right side. Now before attaching that panel, I'll add all of my flowers and foliage pieces. I'll start with the poinsettia, and I did pop that up using some foam dimension. I also added some foam dimension on the very outside edge of each of the leaves, and I'll tuck them underneath the flower. I will need to trim the very end of some of the leaves and branches in order to fit them underneath the poinsettia. I don't want them hanging off the edge of the card. I have one final pine branch to add on the left side. Now I can flip over this piece and add liquid adhesive just in the areas where the die cut pieces are. That way none of the adhesive will show through the vellum on the front of the card. I'll be adding the sentiment Merry Christmas, and this is from the Happy Santa stamp set. Before adhering it to the card, I'll add a scrap cardstock piece just on the upper portion, and then I'll adhere it above my floral arrangement. For a final finishing touch, I'll add 2 small stitch circle die cuts, and I cut these out from the same gold satin mirror cardstock, and I'll adhere them in the upper left hand corner. And the small circle die is from the Winter Foliage die set. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. I love how this one turned out. The colors are so pretty. Now here's another look at the 4 cards I made using Pretty Pink Posh's brand new Christmas 2022 release. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, I do have links provided in the description box below. I'm also participating in a blog hop to help celebrate the new release. For more information and a chance to win a gift card, head on over to my blog. I do have a link provided in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.